Okay. Who's she? What was the name again?
I am first time ever in my life. Girl, please.
Hey, what's up, my snoopers? It's your girl, Tony Michelle, aka Fat Girl Snoop, and I hope you guys are having a good Monday night so far. I don't know about you guys, but today at my JOB, it most definitely felt like a Monday, but I'm hoping by now you guys are nice and relaxed, probably getting ready to watch some football or watch your favorite shows. I'm going to be honest with you. I know some people, ask me, why I stopped doing the reviews. Frankly, because it got kind of boring. It got really, really boring, especially me knowing what's happening really behind the scenes. It's just getting old and tired. But trust when I say I am still here for the shits and the giggles. So trust me, I'll watch. And if there's something I want to talk about that pertains to one of these shows, trust me, I am going to talk about it. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is, I was looking for a couple of stories that really interest me. And what came across to me was interesting is, people hate and say things about her and her family. But when I say that Kim Kardashian is out here doing some things, making differences in people's lives, getting people out of prison, innocent people or people that are given harsh sentences. In this case, she is trying to get a innocent man out of prison. Now, this guy you see right here, this is Julius Jones, and this is her latest case that she's messing with. Now, according to TMZ, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys so you guys can read this article with me, because it's quite interesting how Kim actually got interested with this guy, this Julius Jones guy. So I'm hoping you guys could see my screen. Let me know that you guys could see my screen. Should I make myself a little bigger? Nah, I think I'm good. Okay, you guys can see it real good. All right. So according to TMZ, because Kim has now stepped in to help this young guy. Well, he's not young anymore. He was young when he got, caught up. So there's, she's been advocating for this guy, Julius Jones, and finally there was a major break in his fight for freedom. The guy got the green light, and he could walk out free one day, thanks to Kim and her team advocating, as well as his family. I'm quite sure there has been a recommendation to commute Julius Jones' death sentence to life with possibility of parole. The recommendation is from the Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board, which now means that his fate lies with Governor Kevin Stitt, who will decide whether or not to follow through with their suggestion. Now, this is what Kim tweeted out. She tweeted out, "Thank you, Adam Luck, Kim Doyle, and Larry Morris for your courage and integrity today. Their votes to recommend commutation. Oh my God, don't come after me, please. Oh my God. Of his death sentence to life with possibility of parole marked the first moment of justice for Julius Jones." Stitt's office says that he takes his parole in this process very, very seriously, and he would carefully consider what the board has recommended here, as he does with all cases. So, in other words, what I get out of that is just because Kim Kardashian's name is on it does not mean he's not going to look at this case any less biased than the other case, you know. So he's basically saying that Kim has absolutely no impact on this case whatsoever, but I beg to differ. Now, this doesn't mean that he's out the clear yet. He is closer than ever to, you know, being released. You know, at least that he's not on death row anymore. He's just on life with the possibility of parole. Now, the decision was 3-1, which means one of the members wasn't down for the cause. The article also says that Alex Wentz, which is one of the reps for Julius' family, told TMZ, "We are overjoyed with the rec," while adding, although with the recommendation, that's what they're trying to say, although that recommendation means he will not be walking out a free man as we hope, Julius would be able to spend his days inside prison to no longer on death row. In the future, he would be eligible for parole. And here goes Kim talking with the family and the legal squad, you know, looking nice. So his family is basically praying that, you know, this governor actually looks again at this case and actually pardons this case. Now, according to, also, as you see in the article, that it was because of Viola Davis's docuseries The Last Defense, that's what caught Kim's attention, and that's what made her go visit Jones in prison. And as you can see right here, look, that's her right there. Got, looks like she got like something that got to do with Kanye. Y'all agree? This looks mighty Kanye-ish, but she looks nice. I love her bob. So yeah, so that's a cool thing, right? So then it made me interested on who is this like Julius Jones guy. Like why is he in prison? Like, what's the deal? So I looked up this article from The Sun. I'm hoping you guys can still see my screen. Thank you. I'm still getting used to this streaming service. And, you know, if any of their reps are listening, it really gets on my nerves that, you know, I can't really, you know, post my music, my videos without the lag. I really, 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 really hate that. So one of y'all listening, just so happen to be listening right now, y'all need to fix it, okay? Now, anyways, back to this. So I went ahead and went to see, you know, who is this Julius, this Justice for Julius? Like I wasn't familiar with it. So, and thanks to The Sun, I saw that he was sentenced to death in 2002. He was actually, we already talked about that. Basically, you know, he was basically sentenced to death. And then the article says that he was a 19-year-old student at the University of Oklahoma, where he was considered a prime suspect in killing 45-year-old businessman Paul Howell. The most interesting thing was that he was actually a basketball player at this college, and he was on like this good scholarship. But you know, he got caught up back in August of 1999, and you know, he was arrested and charged with this guy's murder. Now in 2002, he was actually convicted of the murder, and he was sentenced to death at just 22 years old. Now, for the past 20 years, he has been saying that he is innocent. He has said that, it kind of reminds me of the Central Park Five. You basically snatched up kids that fit the description. They did not have a good description. And I'm going to get to that in a second. You're going to see what I mean. Now, he's been basically saying that he's been, wrongly accused. And so his family has been petitioning and it's gained traction. Like it's gained over 6 million signatures. And, according to the article, he spends 23 hours a day in solitary confinement as he awaits what's going to happen. So, I mean, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but it looks like this man has been in solitary confinement since 2002. We are currently in 2021. Is that even legal? I mean, I hope there's some legal people out there. Please put it in the comments. Is this legal? Can a person spend that much in solitary confinement? I mean, to me, that is unheard of. You can't possibly have a good mental state staying in a 4x4 box. All right, let's get back to this article. Now in the petition, it's called Julius Jones is innocent. Don't let him be executed by the state of Oklahoma. Details his living conditions on death row and hopes to help stay the execution of Jones. Now, this means the pardon and parole board will need a 3 out of 5 yes votes for Jones to be recommended for that C word again. Y'all see it. What? Commutation? Hey. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. All right. So, as we all know, if most of the board votes yes, then they will put in the recommendations. If they said no, then he would be still sentenced to the lethal injection. Now, we all heard as of today, 3 out of 5 voted yes. Okay. And Kim joined the advocacy. Although the governor said it wasn't about her, I get it. But I mean, give the girl the credit, give the girl a little bit of credit. So then, I was wondering, why is he on death row? And according to this report from The Sun, Howell was shot back in 1997 in his GMC Suburban, less than 20 miles away from Jones's home. 20 miles, I know that's not like far, but that's not close either. I'm just saying. Howard's sister described the shooter, okay? Get this, guys. Howell's sister described the shooter as a black man wearing a stocking cap with half of inch of hair hanging out. That could be anybody. I could count on 5 hands of guys that I know, okay, that fit that description. I'm just saying that is like a broad, especially back then, I'm sure, what I'm saying? Like, come on. So they basically picked out the first 2 guys that they saw with cornrows. So then I was like, well, maybe, how did they, come up with Jones? Okay. So the article says that there were 3 suspects interviewed by the Edmonton police, pinned Jones and a high school teammate, Christopher Jordan, as the alleged carjacking murderers. Now, despite a lack of evidence to directly connect Jones to Howard's killing, he was sentenced to death and 40 years in prison back in 2002. Now, Jordan, so apparently Jordan was the state key's witness. So his, his basketball teammate put Jones in the picture along with him, and he helped the state basically pin Jones to the murder. And he took a plea deal, so he was only sentenced to 40 years in prison, while Jones, who allegedly did not do this, got death. Okay. All right. So Jordan, they're saying that his case was tainted by racial discrimination. And they believe that because Jordan got the 40 years, that Jones should also get the same exact sentence. I mean, isn't there a law? I thought there was a law that when one person do something, they all get it. Maybe it's different in Oklahoma. I don't know. But, as they fight, he is still in the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. Okay, so like I said, you guys could say what you want about Kim. Okay, you could talk about her getting her body done. You could talk about her posing naked half of the time. You could talk about her marriage to Kanye as being a fluke, and her taking black men and whatever. You could say what you want, but homegirl is smart. Okay, she is smart, and I'm not saying she's saving the black people. I'm not saying that, but she's certainly helping. Give the girl some credit where the credit is due. Jeez. God. As I drink out of my Fat Girl Snoop bottle that you can get on fatgirlsnoop.com. I'm just saying, Kim is doing her thing. She's a boss bitch. Hate it, love it. She's a boss bitch. Moving on to this dude. So I don't know if you guys heard about this. Okay, Rick Ross gets his driver's license at the age of 45. Now, Rick Ross does not need anybody to drive him around anymore. Okay? You chauffeurs, drivers have been fired. Now, I know this might come to surprise for many, but, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all because, especially, you live up north or you live on the west, you necessarily with the public transportation and all that, like, some people choose just not to, drive. Or in some cases, they're rich as hell like Rick Ross and he hires people, but he does not have to do it anymore. And he no longer has to drive illegally. Okay, so now remember when Rick Ross said how he owned 100 cars and he did not have a driver's license? And so he actually went out to get his driver's license. And he got freaked out because he had no idea when you go fill out the form for the driver's license, they ask you to be a donor. And he's like, hell to the no, I don't want to be a donor. He was like, what if they try to set me up? And you know how it is, the conspiracist, And he was like, man, please, if something was to happen to me and they looked inside me and saw how good my heart was, don't let me die just to take my heart. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I actually freaked out when I saw that too. But then again, you know, true story. I've always had my driver's license, but I did not have a car. I did not get my first car until I got my first kid, because that kind of motivates things. So, I got my car at the age of 24. I know. It's crazy, but it's like when I was living in New Jersey, I didn't have a need to have transportation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was on a bus, on a train, on a trolley. I was everywhere. Um, but yeah, so shout out to Rick Ross. He is and has completed the necessary steps to get his driver license. Now, during a recent interview, he shared that he can now legally drive a vehicle from his large car collection himself. He said, I actually driven to the test. I have over 100 cars, and I just hadn't had my license. So wherever I go joyriding, it was just one of those things. But apparently his mom and his sister got on his ass. Okay, got on his ass. Okay, because they kept encouraging him. Rick, listen, you a multi-millionaire. There is no reason why you should still have a government issue ID, man. You gotta upgrade yourself, Rick. You got 100 cars out there, Rick. And you don't have, if you want to leave out this off this mansion property right now, when you get pulled over, it's going to jail. And I know, hell yeah, you could bail yourself out with the quickness, but baby, once you become an habitual offender, that is it. Like, you doing some years. As a matter of fact, let me tell you guys something. Like, when I got caught up, I talk about it all the time. When I got caught up, let me tell you, that made me slow the hell down. That made me like appreciate life. That made me like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Because at first I was pissed, but it was, I want to say it was like a good experience, but it was an experience because I saw and met people from all walks of life. And there was this one lady, Rick, that I met, okay, at the boot camp, okay, and she was facing 5 years for an habitual driver's license. And when I not having a driver's license, and when I asked her like why, and she was just like, I was, in the streets for her. I just didn't have time. So I was like, and it's like 5 years mandatory, because the judge kept warning her, hey, if I see your face again, and man, when I tell you guys, that 5th time that judge bashed that gavel, and homegirl got 5 years. So Rick, listen to your family, and keep that driver's license up. So here's what he said about his family encouraging him to get his driver's license. He said, my mom and sister pressured me, so I took the test. It took me an hour. I missed a few, but I got it. And when he was asked if it was worth the wait, he replied, it was, because you should have your driver's license. You think, Rick? You think? And then he hinted how he because curious, because has he ever got stopped? Like, he's 45 years old and he's been admittedly driving without a driver's license, especially him as Rick Rose. So the person asked him, how did you ever get stopped? And if how did you get out of the tickets? And here's what he said. He said, it was just something about my smile, and anytime I got pulled over, by the time the officer walked up. Come on, Rick. You think a police officer is really wants to give Rick Ross, unless he's really had a shitty day, do you think an officer really wants to give Rick Ross a ticket? I mean, he's not above the law, but you know what I'm saying? You can let him slide. You gonna let him slide, right? Now, what's your 2 cents on all this about Rick Ross getting his driver's license? Are you proud of him like I am? All right. And lastly, oh my God. So I don't know if you guys heard about this story. Hold on. This story had me dying. I mean, literally, and not because, not because it's a show about what they call it, undertakers. I mean, I love this show. Now, have you guys ever watched the Netflix's Buried by the Bernards? Okay, I'm gonna show you a picture of them. It's like a family. That's the uncle is in the casket. Then you have the son standing, and then you have his mother, and then next to her are her grandchildren, his daughters. So I mean, listen, if you guys have not watched the show, you guys have to watch the show. It is absolutely hilarious. Okay. Now, but what I'm about to tell you is not quite hilarious. Now, according to this family, this funeral home gave them the wrong ashes. Could you imagine? The wrong ashes. Now, according to Alfred Vasquez, he told TMZ that his mother, Anita Vasquez, died back in February from a kidney failure and was cremated through R. Bernard Funeral Services in Memphis, the place featured on the Netflix show. So, see, this is the family I'm showing you right now. Now, according to the Vasquez family, they picked up the ashes from the funeral parlor back in March, but when they went to spread them on their late mother's birthday back in July, they noticed a tag with a different person's identification. So I'm going to bring up my screen so you can kind of see what the family is talking about. Okay, let me share my screen. Can y'all see my screen? Nope, I can't see my screen because I can't see my screen. All right. So, according to this is the Vasquez family. This is Alex. I'm sorry, Alfred, and this is his mother, Anita. And they said that, so this is the identification number. You see how that says Luz? I don't want to even butcher that name. You see that? All right. So now they said that the Vasquez fam have traveled all the way back to Florida to spread the ashes in the ocean as per, his mother's last wishes. And then they noticed that, hey, this doesn't say Anita. And so they immediately reached out to the funeral home. They reached out to the funeral home. Now, the family claims that they were told the company will look into it and get back to them. But at the time, they were told that the funeral home called back and said that the family had the correct ashes. But just to save face, they refunded the money back, the $2,000 for the funeral expenses, right? So this is the show. I'm not going to play it because, you know how it is with YouTube and Facebook. I'm not even gonna go there. But according to legal docs, the families received the correct ashes, but another person's papers were actually placed inside the urn. So it was a simple clerical mistake. Okay. But they actually responded. Their lawyer responded, and the funeral home's lawyer responded. His name is Randall Fishman, and he told the TMZ crew that the remains that the family had were actually Anita's, but again, they were a clerical issue. He went on to further explain about the cremation process and that how that metal disc was actually, the raw metal disc was placed on the urn. And what else? But the name was mixed up, but apparently the number was Anita. So they go by a number and not necessarily the name. So that's what actually got mixed up. And so he said, those mix-ups happen time to time. My children, if you guys are watching, y'all better make sure that your mama, you better be furthermore, Fisherman says the reason why the Vasquez family might think there was a terrible mistake because there was an incorrect name label that was placed onto the urn they brought in and requested to have the remains transferred to, but he assures us Anita's ashes were actually in there. And he also says that after the family asked for compensation for their trip, which he claims that they were offered, the family supposedly changed their mind, and Fishman adds that his client regrets the confusion, but again, they insisted that their mother, that was their mother remains. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, they could say that all day. I mean, I'm not on either side. I told my kids actually that I wanted to be cremated, that I didn't want like no big funeral and all that. Take the money, go to Tahiti and ball. Okay. Um, you know, because you should remember the person, you will hope that the funeral home, I mean, we've heard cases before. Remember, I believe it was here where I live that there was a funeral home that they were charging for cremations and they weren't even doing it. So they found like numerous like bodies of people, dead loved ones. I mean, funeral homes do it all the time. Now, I hope that the Bernards are not like that. I hope that they are not like that. But I do believe by them actually refunding the family the money was a great gesture and should be the only gesture. And I feel like the family, I can't tell you how to grieve. Everybody grieves different. I don't know how to feel with this one. I don't know. I don't know. You know, it's so hard. I mean, I would be pissed if I and do a little side eye. But also ashes to ashes and dust to dust. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would want my family to remember how it was on this earth. I know that might be cheesy to say, but that's how I feel. And I feel like that because they're saying that the numbers are correct. Because I guess they go by numbers. It was just a clerical issue. It's a big deal, but it's not a big deal. And Bernards, if this is a clerical mistake, you guys got to tighten up, because you can't have all these lawsuits out here. You're gonna run to the wrong family, and I'm just saying, may Miss Anita rest in peace. And that is my time for today, my people. Let me know your 2 cents on Kim K getting this in this death row inmate off of death row. Almost. And well, she did. Not no almost. She did. Well, she helped. She advocated. So how do you feel about her advocation? And what about Rick Ross getting his driver's license at the age of 45? Better late than never, right? And what about what we just talked about with if you find out the funeral home effed you over on what happened to homeboy, mixing up the ashes allegedly, would you just take the money back, what you paid for the funeral, or would you go for the juggler? Take it all. Multi-million dollars for pain and suffering. So let me know your 2 cents in the comments. And if you like my podcast and you want to see more, please do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, because it does wonders for my videos and my podcast. And like I tell you guys, I just want to make it up in these YouTube skleets and this podcast shit. And I need your help to do that. And guess what? It costs you absolutely nothing. Zip, zilch, zilch. And, if you don't catch me on here, that is fine. You can actually catch me on my website, which is fatgirlsnoop.co. No .com. I always slip up and say .com because I had that website for God knows how long, until a hater shut it down. But that's a whole nother story time video. But yeah, you can always catch me on my fatgirlsnoop.co. And remember my snoopers, that is PHAT, as in pretty, hot, and tempting. Bye for now. And y'all make sure y'all have a great Monday, okay? Because Lord knows I need me a good night. I'm about to go watch my reality shows. Bye for now.
Girl, fat girl,
Okay.
Snoop.